Good morning, everyone. The House Judiciary Committee will be coming to order. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs.
Here.
Representatives Abney.
Designation.
Carroll.
Designation.
Donahue.
Designation.
Hanbidge. Hohenstein.
Designation.
Howard.
Designation.
Kenyatta.
Designation.
Kincaid.
Designation.
Mays.
Designation.
Pielli. Rabb.
Designation online.
Sanchez.
Designation.
Susterman. Chairman Kaufman.
Here.
Representatives Bonner.
Designation.
Borowitz. Ham. Kale. Kerwin. Clunk.
Designation.
Kuzma.
Designation.
Ledbetter. Pugh. Rigby. Shalaba.
Designation.
Mr. Chairman, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Secretary. Having a quorum, we will be proceeding with today's agenda. Just with the weather outside and the street clearing still ongoing and other people's schedules, I think more people will be showing up throughout the meeting. But it's important we get this done. First, the chair will call up House Bill 1671 by Representative Rabb. Representative Rabb is online. I will recognize Representative on Rabb via Teams for brief remarks. Representative, you are in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill makes a targeted overdue change to Pennsylvania law by formally authorizing restorative justice as a pretrial diversion option within our court system with clear guardrails and judicially familiar structure. So what this bill does is pretty straightforward. It first places restorative justice where it actually works best, before conviction, not as an afterthought at sentencing. The bill amends Title 42 to allow district attorneys to divert eligible cases into voluntary structured restorative justice process, except in homicide cases. Participation requires the consent of all parties, the prosecutors, the victims, the accused, and the process is facilitated by trained practitioners. Second, it defines restorative justice in statute. This is not show and tell or informal counseling. It includes structured practices already familiar to courts: victim offender mediation, community conferences, restitution plans, and time-limited accountability agreements designed to repair harm. Lastly, it protects the integrity of the process. Communications are confidential with narrow common sense exceptions for new crimes and mandatory child abuse reporting. That confidentiality is essential for honesty, victim safety, and accountability to actually occur. Our courts are simply overwhelmed, not just with serious violent crime, but with lower level cases that consume enormous time and resources while doing very little to reduce recidivism or to repair harm. This bill gives prosecutors and courts a tool they currently lack: a lawful, uniform mechanism to resolve appropriate cases without pushing them deeper into an adversarial system that often makes outcomes worse. Victims benefit because they are no longer sidelined. They get a voice, answers, and concrete repair, not just a case number and a plea deal negotiated without them. Defendants benefit because accountability is real and immediate, not abstract and delayed, and because responsibility is tied to repair, not just punishment. And courts benefit because this bill reduces caseload pressure, lowers repeat offending, and preserves judicial resources for the cases that truly require full adversarial process. This is not leniency, it is precision. House Bill 1671 modernizes our courts by giving them a tool that works: voluntary, accountable, victim-centered, and proven, while keeping community safety and prosecutorial discretion fully intact. I urge an affirmative vote. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Rabb. We're going to go to council for an additional explanation on the bill as well as the amendment. Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1671 by Representative Rabb and Chair Williams amends Title 42 to create restorative justice as an option for the disposition of criminal cases. As drafted, The bill establishes restorative justice as a sentencing alternative and takes effect in 60 days. There is one amendment.
You're in order to discuss the Briggs Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amendment 2359 by Chairman Briggs guts and replaces the bill to establish restorative justice as a pretrial diversionary tool, which would be mandatory in cases charging low-level nonviolent offenses and for first-time offenders, minors, students, and individuals with documented educational needs or a diagnosis under the DSM-5, as long as all parties agree and the offender is not charged with an offense under Section 4952 of Title 18 relating to intimidation of witnesses or victims. Restorative justice as a pretrial diversionary tool would also be discretionary in all other cases where the parties agree. Restorative justice process shall include a plan to repair the harm which is agreed to by all parties and a time limit for completion of the plan. The restorative justice process is confidential unless all parties to the communication waive privilege, the offender commits a chargeable offense during the restorative justice process, or the communication is related to the mandatory reporting of child abuse or neglect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee adopt Amendment 02359? This is a gun-in-place amendment. We should probably focus all our conversation on this if interested, and then just go to a quick vote after that. But are there any comments on the amendment? I'm going to recognize Chairman Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do want to focus on the amendment because that is truly the language at hand. It's important to be absolutely clear about what this amendment does. This amendment replaces our current justice model with a therapy model. It authorizes courts to impose so-called restorative justice as the exclusive sentence for any offense, including murder and rape. There are no exceptions, no limitations, no guardrails. In plain terms, if a defendant is convicted of child rape, for instance, this amendment would require courts with the stroke of a pen to waive all periods of incarceration or even supervision and order the defendant and child victim to sit in a circle and engage in a consensual healing dialogue to discuss their feelings and needs. Let's be honest about what that means. It means a court-sanctioned encounter where a child who has endured the most horrific violation imaginable could be compelled to sit across from the very person who ripped his or her life apart and destroyed their innocence to discuss how the offender feels and what his or her needs are. The child rapist then gets to walk free. Supporters will likely point to the addition of consent as a safeguard, but anyone familiar with domestic and sexual violence cases know that consent is a dangerous fiction. Ask any domestic violence prosecutor, and they will tell you that in domestic violence and sexual assault cases, victims are often emotionally dependent on their abusers. They are routinely subjected to manipulation, intimidation, threats, and guilt for the courageous act of reporting the abuse to law enforcement. As a result, victims will recant truthful statements, minimize the abuser's actions, oppose incarceration, and agree to reduce sentences. Sadly, this is a daily courtroom reality. This amendment would inject that coercive dynamic directly into the abuser's sentence. Instead of, at the very least, subjecting the abuser to a period of supervision, this amendment would require the victim and abuser to sit in a room together and allow the abuser to further manipulate and control their victim. This amendment is not restoring anything for the victim. It's stripping away the very protections our criminal justice system exists to provide. What if there is no victim? The bill seemingly allows a court to impose a sentence of restorative justice if the offender is charged with illegally possessing a firearm, straw purchases of firearms, delivery of fentanyl, DUI, perjury, or escape. I strongly oppose this amendment. It places the emotional comfort of offenders above the basic human dignity and safety of the victim. It treats violent and sexual offenses as trivial acts to be processed in healing circles rather than grave acts to be punished. I encourage everyone to read the text of this amendment closely, and for these reasons, I will oppose this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other comments before Representative Borowitz, you're in order on the amendment?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Kaufman. Well said in explaining the complete lunacy of this bill in legislation and what this would do to our criminal justice system. It's unfathomable. Can you please explain restorative justice for us? Representative Rapp or Council?
Representative Rabb discussed it in his opening comments, if he'd like to.
Could you just say again the terminology of what restorative justice is?
Rep. Rabb, are you on?
I am. It's before you, so I know you're literate. I will allow you to read it yourself.
Okay. So it seems like this would be a gathering, right, of that Chairman Kaufman said, a conference to gather together. So another question would be, with the domestic abuse victim, can her abuser face no jail or punishment through this bill? Is that a possibility, Representative Rapp?
This is voluntary. No one is forced to do anything. Everyone has to agree, including the judge.
Right, the court would have to decide, but as Chairman Kaufman said, a court could decide, technically, right? A court could decide with a domestic abuse victim, her abuser would face no jail time through this piece of legislation.
Every stakeholder has to agree. This is not compulsory.
Right.
In
If
other
all
words,
stakeholders
the judge
agree-
cannot, I'm answering your question, Representative. The judge cannot force this to happen. It is a pretrial diversion option only if everyone agrees. It is the only way it works. So this does not bypass any other system. It is an option that can be used.
So if the
There
option
is
is
nothing mandatory about this.
right, so if the option is used, then an abuser would face no jail time because it's a sentencing alternative. I just want everyone in Pennsylvania to know that. And this is what Democrats are doing in Virginia, and now they're
It
trying
is
to do
not
it.
a sentencing
And now they're trying to
alternative.
do it in Pennsylvania. This is the Democrat
Representative?
Party that literally wants criminals. This is a woke, scary piece of legislation that allows criminals on the streets. And you get in a gathering, in a conference together, what? To sing Kumbaya? I mean, how sad is this? How sad is this that they would even bring forth legislation like this? That you would make a victim sit in a conference with a criminal that committed a crime against them. I'm
Representative,
asking for
what
a
you were
no vote.
saying,
Thank you, Chairman Kaufman, for your words and common sense. Thank you.
Before we go to a vote, if Representative Rabb wanted to do closing, or you can do that on the bill.
sure, I can wait.
You want to speak on the bill after it's amended?
Well, I'll just make this final point. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. As much as it pleases some folks to mischaracterize the nature of the bill, this is not a sentencing option. This is a pretrial diversion option. It is not mandatory. And if people are concerned about victims' rights, they could see that the majority of victims who have processed this have felt much better through this process than traditional means. So you can listen to the voices of victims who've been through this process and make that determination before speaking out of turn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to echo that because we did have a hearing on this proposal last year, and I do want to thank you for listening to the victims and listening to the testifiers last year and worked on this amendment to really fine-tune the intent of your legislation to provide a tool for the judge to enable this restorative justice model if all the participants were willing to be in taking. There's no compelling victims to participate. I do think it's a very compassionate way to proceed and get a good positive outcome. We are going to do a vote. I'm sorry, was there, oh, Representative Hohenstein, before you're addressed on the amendment.
I have one question and then a comment for the maker of the bill. Is one of the parties that has to agree to this the prosecutor? I'm hearing yes, correct?
Mr. Chairman, that's the affirmative, yes.
Okay, all right. So this is not, and I think Representative Rabb, I appreciate you bringing this forward. This isn't an unstructured kumbaya type or therapy session type of process that we're talking about. What is being done and handled when we focus on restorative justice is to focus on what is supposed to be our goal and aim when we have a criminal justice system. And that goal is rehabilitation, correction, those are two words that we use often throughout the system, and change. And the recognition that where an individual person who has offended, has done something wrong, can correct and change their behavior for the future, not just so that they benefit, but so that the entire society benefits. The problems that we have right now with a criminal justice system that focuses only on penalizing and hurting and harming someone who has harmed another in the name of justice is that we then continue that justice and that pain and that damage further. The restorative justice model that Rep. Rabb is recommending and that we are voting on today is, again, an option when everyone who does this for a living, the judge, the defense attorneys, the prosecutors, agrees that a particular case is appropriate. And I know prosecutors, and they always check with their victims to make certain that a victim is at least in accord with something being done. And if they're not, frankly, most of the time the victim is going to have a veto power on this. And again, the ultimate aim is not some soft and gentle process through which someone has no consequences for their act, but rather a process where everyone has the opportunity to at least get back some of what was lost. And that includes victims as much as it includes people who have offended. So I will be voting for this bill, and I do encourage everyone else to do so as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment 02359.
Chairman Briggs,
Yes.
Representatives Abney,
Designation yes.
Carroll,
Designation yes.
Donahue,
Designation yes.
Hanbidge, Hohenstein, Howard,
Designation yes online.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid,
Designation yes.
Mays,
Designation yes.
Pielli, Rabb,
Designation yes online.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman, Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz,
No.
Ham, Kale, Kerwin, Clunk,
No.
Kuzma,
No.
Ledbetter,
No.
Pugh, Rigby, Shalaba.
No.
Mr. Chairman, this amendment passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. The amendment passes and the question recurs, will the committee report the bill as amended? As there was some conversation on the amendment, it was going to replace amendment. I am going to request if we could just carry over the vote for the amendment for a vote as the same results. Is
That's fine
if
with
I'm
me,
making
Mr.
sense,
Chairman.
Secretary, please, all Democrats will be yes
And all
on the
Republicans
bill as
will be
amended,
no.
and all Republicans will be no.
Okay, and the bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Great. House Bill 1671 as amended passes and will be reported as amended. Next on the agenda, the chair will call up House Bill 1750 by Representative Markosik. Council, please provide a description of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1750 by Representative Markosik creates the freestanding Animal Cremation Consumer Protection Act, providing a regulatory framework for the cremation of companion animals. This requires cremation providers to be transparent about the different services it provides. When animal remains are returned, certify that the relevant services have been completed. The three core services are private cremation, explained as the cremation of a single animal in a clean, empty chamber with the cremated remains returned exclusively to the owner. Individual partition cremation, explained as the cremation of multiple animals in the same chamber using physical barriers or designated spaces to maintain separation with cremated remains returned to each owner. And communal cremation, explained as the cremation of multiple animals simultaneously in a large chamber without separation and no cremated remains are returned. The Attorney General or appropriate district attorney may issue written warnings for violation of this act or enforce the act under the Unfair Trade Practices and Consumer Protection Law. Violations may also result in licensure consequences. This bill takes effect in 60 days and there is one amendment.
The chairman was distracting me. I apologize. So we're on the amendment. Council, please provide a description of Amendment 02148.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amendment 02148 by Chairman Briggs is a gut and replace amendment which largely adheres to the same framework while providing additional definitions, requiring the description of the services I'd outlined previously to be posted online by the cremation providers. The amendment also imposes additional requirements. It creates immunity for third parties acting in good faith, and it further provides for licensure consequences. The bill does not apply to livestock. It only applies to a deceased animal that had a companion or pet relationship with its owner at the time of the animal's death. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee adopt 02148? Are there any comments on the amendment? Representative Schusterman, you are in order on the amendment.
Yes, as the founder and co-chair of the Animal Protection Caucus, this bill and this amendment, which I'm speaking on right now, brings clarity and transparency to people who have a relationship with an animal, and that often brings closure to a death of an animal. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Is there any other comments on the amendment? Is there any negative votes on the amendment? I don't believe there is, but any negative votes? So amendment passes unanimously. If the Secretary record that. Next, I will be bringing up the bill, House Bill 1750 as amended. Is there any comments on the amendment? I know, or on the bill as amended. I know Representative Schusterman spoke of her hard work on the caucus supporting this bill. Anyone else? Representative Ledbetter on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in an effort to, again, represent my district, I appreciate the clarification that livestock and large animals are not included in the language. I'm curious, though, in districts where rural commerce is a reality and agriculture continues to prevail as the primary industry, does this take into account certain geographies, urban versus rural, or concentration of population density when coming into this? And the basis to the question, Mr. Chairman, is simply for the fact that I drive 45 minutes to get to Walmart, let alone to get to a facility that would be able to properly conclude the end of life of a pet. And so I'm just curious if there's any provisions or language in the bill that speak to population density or zoning or anything that may take into account some of the hurdles that come in rural communities, not just classification of agriculture animals?
Thank you, Representative. I think Council's going to take a swing at answering that. Council?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. People or businesses that provide cremation services of animals are already subject to licensure under Title III by the Department of Agriculture. This does not speak to population density. It's neutral on that point. It's simply clarifying from the consumer's perspective what a consumer can expect to receive in terms of services if you are taking your pet at the end of their life to be cremated. You can be guaranteed that you will be returned what services you were promised. This is coming out of a widely publicized criminal case that was charged last year by Attorney General Sunday. There was a Pittsburgh-based funeral home that is being charged with stealing nearly $1 million between 2021 and 2024 for services not rendered.
Thank you, Council. Representative, do you have any other thoughts? Okay. Are there any negative votes on the bill as amended? Seeing none, if the Secretary could record it as unanimous vote, House Bill 1750 passes and will be reported as amended. Thank you, members. And thank you, Council. Next, the Chair will call up House Bill 2018 by Representative Hanbidge. The Chair will recognize Representative Hanbidge for brief remarks on her bill and then go to Council. Representative?
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad to see so many people vociferously protecting the rights of domestic violence victims in this committee, because this bill is a true opportunity to protect domestic violence victims. Pennsylvania currently has no formal statewide process for reviewing domestic violence homicides. There are no reporting requirements, no mandated data collection, no comprehensive way to understand how people experience domestic violence or killed each year, or how those deaths could have been prevented. Instead, information is pieced together by advocates and agencies relying on public reports. That approach leaves gaps, inconsistencies, and missed lessons. Pennsylvania is now only one of 5 states, including Idaho, Wyoming, Rhode Island, and Arkansas, in the country that do not have a domestic violence fatality review board. Without one, we cannot identify patterns, systemic failures, or missed intervention points that could have saved lives. Domestic violence fatality reviews are proven prevention tools. They bring together professionals from law enforcement, courts, healthcare, advocacy organizations, and social services to review deaths collectively and identify patterns that we miss when viewed in isolation. Domestic violence fatality reviews are not about assigning blame. They're about learning how systems interacted with victims and perpetrators and where improvements are needed. These reviews consistently show something important. Victims often reached out for help. They sought protection orders. They went to hospitals. They contacted law enforcement. The problem was not silence. The problem was missed opportunities to help them. House Bill 2018 creates a mandatory statewide review process so Pennsylvania can move from reacting to domestic violence deaths to preventing them. This is a priority of the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence and many of its 59 member programs across the Commonwealth who work with survivors every day. We cannot prevent what we refuse to study. We cannot fix what we do not measure. And we cannot honor victims if we allow their deaths to disappear into complete records. This bill gives us the information we need to make better policy to save lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Council, please provide any additional description of the bill as needed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2018 by Representatives Hambidge and Schusterman establishes within the Office of Attorney General the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Program and Multidisciplinary Domestic Violence Fatality Review Board for the purpose of investigating domestic violence-related fatalities, identifying systemic gaps, and recommending improvements. The effective date is July 1, 2026, or immediately, whichever is later. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee report the bill, House Bill 2018? Are there any comments on the bill? I will first go to Chairman Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. I do appreciate the concept of establishing a domestic violence fatality review program in the Commonwealth, but unfortunately, House Bill 2018 raises many issues in its current form. The bill authorizes the creation of domestic violence fatality review teams and gives these teams extraordinary access to some of the most sensitive records the Commonwealth possesses, including a victim's medical and psychological records, victim and witness statements, child services files, employment histories, and investigative material. The bill does not merely allow review of a law enforcement agency's performance. It opens the door to the wholesale disclosure of this incredibly private information. Yet nowhere in this bill is there a requirement that the victim's family consent. A mother could discover that her daughter's therapy records, private communications, and prior witness statements are being examined by the review team without her knowledge or permission. Moreover, once a case is deemed closed, these review teams may access law enforcement investigative files, pre-sentence investigation reports, probation information, and witness statements. But the bill never defines what the term closed means. Is a cold case closed? Is an unsolved homicide closed? Is a case that could be reopened with the discovery of new evidence closed? The bill gives these review teams the legal power to obtain records that the public, the media, and even civil litigants cannot access. This fact alone should give this committee serious pause. The composition of the review board raises even deeper concerns. The statutory structure heavily favors advocacy organizations and non-law enforcement participants over career prosecutors, municipal police officers, and investigators who actually work domestic violence cases day in and day out. This imbalance creates a very real risk that the review board will evolve into an advocacy platform rather than a neutral and unbiased body. Sheriffs and their deputies do not investigate homicides or domestic violence cases. However, the bill requires the State Association of Sheriffs to serve on the review board. Municipal police officers who regularly investigate domestic violence cases are, for some reason, nowhere to be found in the bill. I commend the sponsor on raising this important issue. However, because of the various issues that I highlighted and others, I cannot support the bill today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chairman, I do want to point out we are going to be moving this bill today. I know the representative's already been the prime sponsor in communication with some stakeholders that want to have a stakeholder meeting to discuss specifically the confidentiality and some other aspects of the bill. But for the sake of efficiency in trying to move this bill has been introduced for decades, right?
Yeah, since 2010.
18, 20 years since I've been here. There's been a little bit of a break the last couple sessions. But I think it's important to move the ball forward, have that meeting, and try to work on, and hopefully we will earn your support with a floor amendment. I just wanted to mention that. I want to thank the leadership of the representative for having those ongoing conversations. Are there any other comments before we get to a vote?
Yes, sir.
Representative Borowitz on the bill, House Bill 2018. You're in order.
Thank you, Chairman. While no one wants domestic violence, this bill creates a dangerous domestic violence fatality review board that functions as a backdoor for unconstitutional gun control. This bill empowers the board to recommend changes in legislation which would inevitably lead to erosion of due process. We've already had that. Red flag laws expansions, expanding prohibitions, and recommending the expansion of prohibited person categories to strip citizens of their God-given rights. We should not be creating state-funded boards that will undermine the constitutional rights of Pennsylvanians. And again, Democrats, want me to create a board that is a backdoor gun control board, but you just voted to give restorative justice to someone who commits these crimes. Make that make sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments on the bill, House Bill 2018? Representative Schusterman, you're in order.
Thank you, Chair Briggs. So there's approximately 1,500 domestic violence-related deaths in the Commonwealth over the last 10 years. But unfortunately, we only have estimates, so that isn't factual. So exact numbers and data are difficult to obtain because this is something the sponsor of the bill mentioned, but I would like to mention it again. Pennsylvania is one of only 5 states that still has not created a system to accurately track domestic violence-related deaths. This bill will change that. Other states are doing this, and with the data, if we had accurate data, we would really be able to understand the trends around these domestic violence deaths. We're unable to do that without the data. And that is what we are seeking. It's just common sense measures to get the data so we're better equipped with understanding the trends with domestic violence deaths. So I urge a yes vote on this bill so we can catch up with our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments on the bill before we get to a vote? Just one. Anyone else? Representative Hanbridge for closing comments.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate everyone's consideration of this bill and its importance. Just to clarify, there are already confidentiality requirements within the bill, including penalties that exist in the current language, although I'm happy to tighten down this bill as needed should the chair decide that he wants to talk to me about the issue. I would also say that there already exist fatality review boards in the Commonwealth. We have a child fatality review board. I think that it's a far reach. I know that Gun Owners of America changed their stance on this bill yesterday, and I think it's put some people in a difficult position. But the things that we're saying might happen aren't happening already. We're just trying to stop people from dying. Don't domestic violence victims deserve to have prevention from us, preventative measures, and also the memory of those that we've lost? Don't they deserve protection? It's a very simple request.
Thank you, Representative. And I urge all the members to vote yes. Secretary, please call the roll on House Bill 2018.
Chairman Briggs,
Yes.
Representatives Abney,
Designation yes.
Carroll, Donahue, thank you. Donahue,
Designation yes.
Hanbidge,
Yes.
Hohenstein, Howard,
Designation yes online.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid,
Mays.
Kincaid, my
Oh,
apologies.
Kincaid, designation yes.
Mays,
Designation yes online.
Pielli, Rab,
Designation yes.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman,
Yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz,
No.
Ham, Kale, Kerwin, Clunk,
No.
Kuzma,
No.
Ledbetter, Pugh, Rigby, Shalaba.
No.
Mr. Chairman, this bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. House Bill 2018 passes and will be reported as committed. Next, the chair will call up House Bill 2154. Council, please provide a brief description of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 2154 by Chairman Briggs establishes the Prison Industries Enhancement Authority. The authority will authorize the Department of Corrections to apply to the United States Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance for certification to operate a prison industries enhancement program and to assist other units of government seeking to participate in the program, adopt procedures for determining whether a prospective private sector prison industry complies with the requirements of the program, approves or disapproves proposal submitted by the Department for Prison Industry Program ensures continuing compliance with federal law and this act, and designate which services performed or articles manufactured by incarcerated individuals conform to program regulations and may be sold on the open market. By creating this authority, we will allow for joint ventures between correctional facilities and private industry to provide incarcerated individuals with job, skills, and prevailing local wage. As a result, incarcerated individuals will be better able to develop positive work habits that will help them secure and hold employment upon release, pay off obligations faster, learn financial responsibility, and provide financial assistance to their dependents. This program will make facilities safer for corrections officers and reduce recidivism. The authority shall meet at least biannually, and the meetings are subject to the open meetings law and quorum requirements to conduct business. Members of the authority shall not receive compensation, but shall be reimbursed for reasonable and necessary expenses. DOC shall staff the authority and legal counsel furnished by the Office of General Counsel. Under the bill, the DOC or a county corrections facility may enter into contracts with private businesses to permit the employment of incarcerated individuals. DOC or the county remains responsible for the custody and care of incarcerated individuals. Incarcerated individuals are not employees of the Commonwealth or county. Incarcerated individuals' employer is solely responsible for compliance with all applicable labor standards. Incarcerated individuals may not work more than 40 hours and retain the federal protections provided to employees. Incarcerated individuals must consent in writing to participate and to specific mandatory deductions to gross wages not to exceed 80% in the aggregate. Each incarcerated individual employed shall receive a written statement of the description and amount of each deduction. The deductions are for federal, state, and local taxes, contribution to the Crime Victim Services and Compensation Fund, court-ordered victim restitution, a portion for room and board and administrative costs, and allocations to support the incarcerated individual's immediate family. Deductions may not exceed 80% from gross pay. The legislation will provide incarcerated individuals with work opportunities while assuring they do not replace work opportunities for Pennsylvania residents. One last thing to be clear, these work opportunities will happen within the facilities. This is not a work release program. Mr. Chairman, the bill takes effect in 120 days and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Council. Great description. The question is, will the committee report the bill 2154, House Bill 2154? Before we go to comments, I just want to thank the Department of Corrections for their hard work on helping us put this bill proposal together. I do understand there's some need to have some additional meetings with various stakeholders, and I'm committed to doing that. I want to get this bill as good as possible. It is a companion piece of legislation with Senator Bartolotta in the Senate, and we are both committed to trying to help each other advance this proposal. I think it would be good for the department or business community as well as the inmates. So I'm encouraging all the members to vote yes today and look forward to having that ongoing conversation. Anyone, any comments on the bill? Representative Ledbetter on the bill 2154.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for bringing the bill before us for consideration today, along with the good lady from the 46th Senatorial District in the southwestern part of our Commonwealth. As a brother of a police officer, when council mentioned that this would enhance the safety for correctional officers, my ears always perk up when it comes to that. I know we also boast members of law enforcement or former law enforcement even on this committee. With that in mind, Mr. Chairman, I would be excited to be part of those continued conversations because I was one of the very vocal opponents to the closure of SCI Rockview and Quahana Boot Camp, where there was negative economic impact to local businesses within those communities, within Center and Clearfield counties. There was specialized facilities for training of inmates within those facilities that are not easily replicated in other facilities that continue to operate. And despite DOC's position of declining inmate population for justification for closing those, as someone who is a father to an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, I view classroom ratios very similar to inmate and correctional officer ratios. The smaller that exchange can be, the better. We want more correctional officers being able to support the recovery and safety of these individuals that are incarcerated. And so again, I find us now coming together on legislation that we can absolutely argue is necessary and prevalent within the Commonwealth, but we got rid of 2 tools in the toolbox that were doing a lot of what this is talking about in an effort to support that inmate population to return to a productive form in society. So again, Mr. Chairman, with that in mind, I'd like to invite you to incorporate my feedback into those conversations, and I will look forward to the final product on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Pugh, you are recognized on House Bill 2154 for comment. Yeah, I apologize. The mic was kind of breaking in and out. Was there, the questions was the prevailing wage and what specific? Labor and industry will set that local. Was there something else? I'm sorry, Representative Pugh. Was there?
Mr. Chairman, to answer the question, the authority will make those decisions, but this is in addition to existing programs, so we're not replacing or eliminating programs. This is to allow private industry to use incarcerated labor and pay them a local prevailing wage. We can meet after this and we can discuss in more detail, but like I said, this doesn't replace existing programs. As for certifications, I think a lot of the work won't require certification, and I think the skills that an incarcerated individual will create after working through this program is they get to make a prevailing local wage, which may be minimum wage or better, and they'll also learn financial responsibility. They'll be able to stay closer to their family because they'll be sending money home. They'll be able to pay off all their court-ordered obligations. They'll be able to pay off the victim if there's restitution ordered. And all of those things combined together will create an environment where they're less likely to recidivate.
Thank you. Representative, anything else? Any other?
No, I just want to say thank you. Just a couple of concerns on it as it sits, but I'd love to see something move forward in a positive way.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments before we go to Chairman Kaufman? Chairman Kaufman.
Thank you very much. I do think this is a worthwhile program and something that I would like to see move forward in the future. There are concerns that I think could be addressed while in committee. I continue to have this dream that we don't get the bill the week before it's considered and we get to do the work in committee and pass it out, something that can pass on the floor. But I'm not going to vote for it today, but I'm hoping that we get there on the floor. And I suspect we can get there on the floor. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. I do think this is a good bill. It could get better. It will get better. And I share the concerns of Representative Pugh of the certification programs. Nothing that this bill does will replace the current practices of certification and training. But this is that the authority will be able to create some good partnerships to provide some skills and training and jobs to help when they reenter. So I think this is a good addition to the current practices. We are going to go, any other comments? Seeing none, we're going to go to a roll call on House Bill 2154. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs,
Yes.
Representatives Abney,
Designation, yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Donahue,
Designation, yes.
Hanbidge, Hohenstein, Howard,
Designation, yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation, yes.
Kincaid,
Designation, yes.
Mays,
Designation, yes.
Pielli, Rab,
Designation, yes.
Sanchez,
Designation, yes.
Schusterman,
Designation, yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ham, Kale, Kerwin, Clunk,
No.
Kuzma,
No.
Ledbetter, Pugh, Rigby, Shalaba.
No.
Mr. Chairman, this bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. House Bill 2154 passes and will be reported as committed. Thank you. Next on the agenda, I will be calling up House Resolution 63 by Representative Khan. Thank you for joining us, Representative. You will be recognized for brief remarks on your resolution. You are in order.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Briggs, Chairman Kaufman, members of the committee. So this is a simple resolution that would direct the Joint State Government Committee to look at diversion programs, look at facilitators, things that help these programs exist, barriers to these programs. We know that diversion programs work. The question is there access across the Commonwealth? And what's the quality of these programs? The great thing about diversion programs is it goes through the justice system, making sure that prosecutors and judges are weighing in on this, but it gives them options to make sure that we are not incarcerating people that don't need to be incarcerated. These programs are typically directed to low-level offenses and to nonviolent crimes. So this is a resolution that is supported folks on the left, like the ACLU, and folks on the right, like the Coke Industries and Americans for Tax Reform and Right on Crime. I want to thank my co-prime sponsors, Representative Pielli, Chairman Harris, Representative Carroll, Representative Green and Madsen for working on this piece of legislation. I urge your support.
Thank you, Representative. Council, any additional description needed on the resolution?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The report and recommendation are due to the House of Representatives within 1 year of adoption.
Okay, simple enough. Thank you, Council. Are there any comments, and thank you, Representative, any comments on the resolution? The question is, did I say that? Will the committee consider the resolution, House Resolution 63? Any comments? Chairman Kaufman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative. Everything you outlined verbally right there is, I think, what we can all agree on. The difficulty I have is when the resolution, the first page of the resolution starts out with all the aggrieved parties, that the resolution seems to attempt to address. And that's, when I actually read the resolution, that's where you lose me. Because I'd love to talk about diversion programs, leaving out all the aggrieved folks who it starts with. So today, I'm going to be a no. I wish we could have a resolution without that, that dynamic in it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other comments or questions on the resolution?
If I could just say,
Representative Kahn, for
sure.
closing before we go to.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the comments. I wanted to just highlight in this resolution the fact that our criminal justice system, justice is not delivered evenly across it. Right now, black men are 1 in 3. 1 in 3 black men go through the criminal justice system. Right now, there's 1 in 17 white men. That doesn't mean that black men are more likely to commit crimes. It's just that the criminal justice system is not balanced currently, and that was an attempt to acknowledge that disparity. But I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
And in Franklin County, that disparity would be poor white men. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, Secretary, please call the roll on House Resolution 63.
Chairman Briggs,
Yes.
Representatives Abney,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes. Sorry.
Donahue,
Designation yes.
Hanbidge, Hohenstein, Howard,
Designation yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid,
Designation yes.
Mays,
Designation yes.
Pielli, Rab,
Designation yes.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman,
Designation yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz,
It's a no.
Ham, Kale, Kerwin, Clunk,
No.
Kuzma,
No.
Ledbetter, Pugh, Rigby, Shalaba.
No.
Mr. Chairman, this bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. House Resolution 63 passes and will be reported as committed. Congratulations, Representative Kahn. Good work. Last on the agenda, the chair will call up House Resolution 386 by Representative Young. I see Representative Young as she situates herself. I will recognize you for some brief remarks on the resolution. Representative Young, you are in order when you're ready.
Thank you so much. Very, very briefly, I just want to say human trafficking is a heinous crime that robs victims of their most basic human rights and dignity. So today I'm asking us to ensure that we're doing our part to combat this injustice. My resolution would designate January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month to coincide with the federal designation of January as Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Given the international focus on Pennsylvania in 2026, with statewide America 250 events, Major League Baseball, All-Star Games, FIFA World Cup matches, NFL Draft, and more, it's important, more now than ever, for Pennsylvanians to be alert and aware of this evil that lurks in communities across the state. I am asking that this resolution would give us the opportunity to send a message to all bad actors in and outside of Pennsylvania. We are vigilant, we are watching, and we will not allow trafficking to occur in our communities. I am asking you all for an affirmative vote. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. The question is, will the committee report the resolution, House Resolution 386? Are there any comments on the resolution?
Yes, Chair.
Representative Ledbetter on the resolution, House Resolution 386. I'm sorry.
Actually, Chair, I have the comment.
I need a rear view mirror. Representative Hohenstein, you're in order.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rep. Young, for bringing this forward. You and I have talked about the importance of addressing the issue of human trafficking and being able to get a handle on it. And I just want to make my support for your actions here and on this issue generally known. I personally, as an attorney, have represented victims of trafficking. In fact, one of my former clients was literally sold by her family into servitude. And the idea that we need to do everything we can to keep our eyes open and to fight against this abuse of people is really paramount, I think, in a lot of the work that we do to make people's lives better. And again, I think it lifts us all up when we can help people who are being victimized in this way. So thank you very much, Rep. Young, for presenting this legislation.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments on the resolution? Representative Ledbetter, you are recognized on the resolution, House Resolution 386.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not Rep. Hohenstein. Rep. Young, thank you so much for bringing this before us today. It's been an honor to collaborate and work alongside you on other anti-human trafficking efforts here in the House. You mentioned the sporting events that we anticipate hosting here in the Commonwealth, along with the importance of the spotlight that we as a community and state get to carry with America 250. Coming from a background where I was very familiar with Super Bowls and Major League sporting events, it's no surprise to me that human trafficking does spike around those things, as you well know. And I'm excited that while it's heartbreaking that this is a conversation even happening, I'm excited that as a committee and as a body, we are taking this as seriously as we are, because this is not happening in some faraway place or in a different community. This is happening here at home. And so for the not in my backyards that are out there, or for the folks that are alarmists and the sky is falling, I don't care where you may land philosophically, for folks that may be listening, this is happening in Pennsylvania. Efforts like this are necessary, and together we can put an end to this heinous crime within Pennsylvania. So thank you, Representative Young.
Thank you very much, Representative Ledbetter. Representative Borowitz, you are in order on House Resolution 386.
Thank you for this resolution. Very important, and everyone who commits these heinous crimes should be behind bars. So very sad again today that the Democrat Party is advocating that there could be a sentencing alternative. Can you even imagine that? So thank you for this resolution. And everyone who commits these, again, should be behind bars and consequences for their actions. Thanks.
Thank you. I think everyone has spoken. We're going to close with Chairman Kaufman.
Representative Young, after sitting through that whole meeting, you were probably holding your breath thinking, oh goodness, what did I walk into? But this is a great moment for bipartisanship, Representative. Appreciate your work on this committee. Since I was majority chairman, we worked on issues regarding human trafficking, and this is important. And I will say, you know, most people think of this as some kind of urban problem or something that happens, as Representative Ledbetter said, somewhere else. But I will say, even in my home county of Franklin, we have, our law enforcement has prosecuted human trafficking rings in our region. And, you know, I feel that we've seen a growth in it, especially from many who have been trafficked across the border over the last 4 years, because the reality is many of them were trafficked across our southern border and are no no less vulnerable now that they are here illegally. So I think this is a critical issue and something that we should be recognizing and addressing in any way possible so that those who perpetrate this against another human are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and imprisoned so that they can never do it to another human being again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. So the question is, vote on House Resolution 386. Are there any negative votes? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, please record that as unanimous. House Resolution 386 passes and will be reported as committed. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, members.